Welcome to the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions, now in its 25th season. Our panel features a longtime Penn State media and NitWits tag team, Neil Rudell of the Altoona Mirror and Mark Brennan of Lions 24/7 with Fight on State. Between them, they've covered Penn State for more than 80 years. The NitWits are hosted by WTAJ's Anderly Penwell, and each week we welcome a former Nittany Lion as our special guest analyst. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. By Star Beverage, no matter what type of weather, we're a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Kogan Electric, lighting the way for you. By NovaCare, Altoona and State College, the power of physical therapy. By Fullington Tours, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from locations in State College and Altoona. By Blair Candy Company, the one-stop shop for all your tailgating needs. Candy, snacks, paper supplies, and more. By Lions 24/7 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Monday.
Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hello, and welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Anderly Penwell, joined by Mark Brennan, Neil Riddell, and this week's guest, Keith Conlon. Guys, how we doing?
Hey, 1-0.
1-0 off the Purdue win, so let's just get right into it. Where do we want to start? Game-winning drive?
Well,
whereabouts?
I'll start. There have been times when we've questioned certain calls in certain situations, but I thought Penn State was a really well-coached football team, really well prepared for the opener. When you talk about what they did at the end of the half, how aggressive they were, how decisive they were in, it was 4th and short, their goal line offense, and how they executed 2-minute drill. It was just, they did a great job.
Yeah, one of the things I said about this season that I think is going to be key is resiliency. I mean, they're going to encounter adversity at some point, probably in the form of a loss, but even in the course of a given game. The thing that we haven't seen the last couple of years is this team reacting to very negative situations and coming back and overcoming. And it dug itself maybe some of its own holes on Thursday night. Clifford throwing the big interception when it looked like they were kind of on their way to getting things done, coming out and playing flat in the third quarter. But at the end of the game was there to win, and they went out and seized it. And I think that is a great sign moving forward, especially in game one of the season.
I don't think the last 2 years Penn State wins that game, the past 2 seasons. I really don't. And that's the maturation of the team. You have a 15th-year quarterback out there, but Sean takes a lot of abuse for that and this and that. But yes, he is a senior quarterback. He is been playing here a long time, and it showed, like Neil just said about the the first half, that we would just kneel the ball out before. I think we were all in agreement with that. They would have just knelt the ball, gone in the locker room at halftime, circled the wagons, this and that. No, they were aggressive. And then when we needed it late in the game, we got it, and we come out with a victory. And I would not have seen it the last 2 years.
Okay, so let's roll that clip of the game-winning drive here. We get some good connections here from Sean. He finds Tinsley here, and then he's going to find one of the tight ends. And then that run at the end from Lee. I'm a Packers fan, so I'm used to really great 2-minute drills from Aaron Rodgers. And this, not to say by any means that Sean Clifford is Aaron Rodgers, but it was the efficiency of an NFL and here's that touchdown. What stood out about that? I thought the way I can describe it is efficient. What stood out to you guys?
Well, the way he kept his poise, he's 6 of 7 for 72 yards, and also the play calling with Mike Yurcich freeing Lee up on that wheel route. And hey, Purdue helped them too. Purdue had some pretty bad tackling that led to 2 touchdowns right at the end of the half and the end of the game.
Yeah, everybody's making a lot of Clifford being 6 of 7, and rightfully so. But I think if you look at his passes before that, he was incomplete on, I think, 4 or 5 or something like that. So again, overcoming adversity. The other guy I'd like to give a shout out to is Kevon Lee. I think everybody sees the writing on the wall that ultimately those 2 freshmen, you could see it in that game, little glimpses, little flashes. But you know what? The game's on the line. You get Kevon Lee on there against 0 coverage, and he has to make that read and know where to go. Does one of the freshmen know to do that? He doesn't. He leaks out, is wide open, and Goon, you played, you never had the ball thrown to you, but you know as much as anybody, when that thing's floating to you and it's taking like 18 seconds,
motion.
that is not the easiest catch in the world. So here's a guy, again, he's all of a sudden in a loaded running back room, comes out and makes just a key play.
Well, but it was by design that he was in there and not a freshman at that moment, and that's why I think you got to give credit to Yurcich. And the other guy I'd like to give credit for is Manny Diaz. I mean, for his debut and the amount of time that they played man-to-man defense up close on Purdue's receivers, and that allowed them to get some blitzes late and put the game away, which we haven't seen defensively for them all the time.
Well, Manny also was substituting freely throughout that game and playing backups deep into the 4th quarter to the point where I'm wondering, is this making sense? And guess what? For the final drive or so, they have their best players in there, and okay, this is what it's all about. So rather than having guys exhausted, and we've seen Penn State multiple times in recent years come from ahead to lose, this was a situation where they were playing their best defense at the end of the game. Were there some lapses during the game? Yes, but you want to be playing your best, and guys were making plays. Joey Porter Jr. is another guy that had issues early in the game, comes back and just plays lights out late.
So there was a method to the madness for Manny's defense in that first. So when we come back after a break, we'll look at some more of the players who shined. You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
The NitWits are being brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntingdon. And by McAlear's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Well, welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. We are talking Penn State Purdue Nittany Lions victorious 35-31 in West Lafayette on Thursday. So, guys, another great standout performance from the Nittany Lions this Thursday. Joey Porter Jr. definitely excelled, shined. What part about his performance stuck out besides just making big plays at big times?
Well, they're playing so much man-to-man, and I mean, repeatedly referenced. There was a ton of NFL scouts. I know they haven't started their season yet. That was probably part of the reason, but he was definitely one of the short-list guys that they were looking for. They kept reporting on TV that he's projected as a first-round draft pick. He played a great game.
Well, I mean, he didn't play great early.
Right.
That's where, if he wants to be the first Penn State DB ever taken in the first round of the NFL draft, he's got to start making those catches. I mean, you have to pick the ball off. I'm okay with the pass interference because, listen, we've talked about it a lot. As a defensive back, you can be super physical and you can dial that back. But typically, if you're not a physical guy, it's hard to coach that into players. But the fact, again, he struggled a little bit earlier, but got better and better and better and better was something to me. And I also think, listen, they were saying, why are they throwing at Joey Porter Jr.? Well, why weren't they throwing at Kalen King? What that's telling you is that they view Joey Porter Jr. as a more legit matchup for their receivers. Now, is that right? Is that wrong? I think they only threw Kalen King a couple times. So I think that says a lot about the respect Purdue had for Kalen King.
And I'm going to notice, I talked to you guys off the air a little bit, of how physical our defensive backs are right now. And you've never seen this here at Penn State. As an offensive lineman, there's holding on every play. So we're talking, there was a couple non-calls out there for both teams. I mean, Purdue kept us in the game a little bit in the first half, a little bit with their defensive lapses and stuff like that. But we were doing just as much, hand play and holding and scrapping out there as their guys were. And, Joey, he's going to have games where he's going to have 2 or 3, botched plays because he's being aggressive, whether it be a dropped interception or a pass interference or a hold type of thing. But it's just, you could just tell that's the way our defenses and our coaches are coaching them.
Well, the secondary, Hardy made a super play in the fourth quarter, toward the end of the game. I thought Keaton Ellis, showed himself well. Johnny Dixon was a late blitz. They got a lot of good contributions from many players on defense. Yeah,
and they played a lot of nickel and dime, and I think we expected that because of maybe the lack of depth at linebacker, and then you lose Abdul Carter, and now all of a sudden, where are you turning if somebody gets banged up? It was awesome to see Jair Brown basically playing a linebacker position in some of those third and long situations. That's at the very end of the game, they had 8 defensive backs in there. And that's really one of the strengths of the team, is that they have so many guys who are versatile back there and physical and tough.
And you mentioned group effort. Another group effort here in the run game. Always an interesting conversation to have with Penn State. So definitely a group effort. Katron Allen, Kevon Lee, and Nick Singleton. Allen went 6 for 31. Lee had 9 for 30. And Singleton had 9 for 22. Those guys combined for 98 yards. So obviously last year running the ball was a bit of an issue. Almost got 100 this game, but what do we grade the defense or grade the running back?
They also Katron.
Yeah,
he blocked well too, and he got a key carry on that game-winning drive. So I was impressed with all. I thought they hit the hole maybe a little quicker than Lee. We'll see if they have to make a decision at some point. But each of these guys were impressive.
Well, you could see that the feel that the 2 freshmen have, they just seem to get to the hole quicker and find the holes a little bit better. But having said that, Lee came up big. And don't forget about Devin Ford. He had a huge conversion.
Yeah.
For that guy to be kind of relegated to 4th team, come in, catch a pass for a key first down, I think that says a lot about the buy-in to the team. And then I also think, generally speaking, the plays of the running back spoke to the O-line.
Yeah, I know we're going to get back to the offensive line. That seems to be the bugaboo here the last how many years here. But I got to say that they were improved this year. I've always said on my radio shows and TV, I've always said, like, it just seems like they were hesitant all the time. They were always just didn't know what they were doing, and whether they didn't know where they were going, who they were blocking, what they were doing. Just come off the ball hard and hit somebody. And it just seems that whether they were doing that or not, they were coming off the ball and being aggressive, and that's all you could ask. And it's Mark's talking about how a lot of the defensive players and running backs it was by committee. I say a lot of offensive linemen and tight ends played this past week. I mean, there was a lot. Do we have a number of how many guys played in that game?
Well, I think it wasn't just the number of guys who played. It was the number who saw significant snaps. Yeah. So I think if you looked at the number who played, it was maybe 40 something or 50 something, but guys playing significant snaps in key minutes, including on the O-line where they had I know we're going to talk about some of the things where they have to tighten things up, but including a key spot in the offensive line.
Strange might be one of the best players on the team.
And another
in the way they're using him.
And another guy that got key minutes, probably unexpectedly, Drew Aller made his collegiate debut. No one knew what was going on for a few minutes there in terms of Clifford leaving in the third quarter, then coming back. When I was watching the broadcast, this kid looked, so calm. Yeah. That's the part that stuck out to me. Yeah, he only went 2 for 4 for like 26, and there were some incompletions, but just to hold down the fort.
Watch that. Wow. Yeah. I mean,
how he stepped up in that pocket, if Sean has one bugaboo, it seems like he's a little bit nervous back there. I mean, he should be shell-shocked with what he's gone through the last 3 years, but you're watching, a true freshman come in there and just sit there, pat the ball, step up a little bit, let the rush go by him, and make a pinpoint throw that he was doing. unbelievable.
I thought he could have run on that play.
Could have. You're very yep.
For a first down. And hey, the ball he throws to Warren, hey, first of all, has to be caught.
That's an NFL throw.
Yes,
it was.
And that makes him 3 for 4 on one series for 50-plus yards.
He's playing in an emergency situation. Right. I mean, I know it was coming out of the half, and he probably had a little bit of a feel that he might play, but compare that to where they were against Iowa last year when Clifford went out, and the lack of poise by the backup at that point, how he came in and just did that. And the thing was, after Clifford threw the pick six, it looked like they might go back to Aller because they weren't sure how Clifford was feeling. And I don't think anybody who watched him play would have been like, wow, this team's in trouble. I think they would have been pretty comfortable with him being out there in that situation. To Clifford's credit, came back, got the job done at the end of the game.
Yeah, my major issue with what happened in that game was we have Abdul Carter kicked out of a game for a odd call.
But then ahead of us here.
Sean getting his knee attacked how is that not?
Yeah.
That was just a blatant, okay, he could have tackled him high, and he went right for that knee with a big old brace on there. I was very upset. I was not happy when that went down.
Well, you got ahead of us here with the controversy. When we come back, a very questionable targeting call and then some other concerns the Nittany Lions may have.
The NitWits are being brought to you by RE/MAX Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry. The answer is always Dorman's. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we're a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. And by Kogan Electric, lighting the way for you.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Here's a look at some of the other Big Ten scores. Ohio State, of course, beating number 5 Notre Dame 21-10 at home. Number 8 Michigan beats Colorado State. Wisconsin, Iowa, Rutgers, and Nebraska all victorious. So good first week for the Big Ten. But another big topic of conversation in Thursday night's Penn State game. Very questionable targeting call. So I took the liberty of reading part of the NCAA rule handbook, which is a super fun time. You should read it. And here is the actual targeting thing from Abdul Carter. So it says the definition of targeting is a player takes aim at an opponent for purposes of attacking with forcible contact that goes beyond making legal tackle or a legal block or playing the ball. Some indicators of targeting include, but are not limited to, launching, crouching followed by an upward leading moment with the helmet, or lowering the head. So we also have the play here from Carter, the replay of it. So it was later on. This kid is a freshman. It was his first play of the game, and there it is. So break it down. What do we think, guys?
It's a beautiful play by a wonderful guy from LaSalle College High School outside the Philadelphia area, in my opinion.
Goon's alma mater.
My alma mater, yes. You can see where you can, with the elbow going up right there, I think that's what some people were saying it was the targeting. But I think he's going for the football. And it's such a gray area. I have no idea. You can see it both ways. Yeah. I was not happy with that, but I was even more upset about the shot on Clifford's leg. Like, that should have been targeting, in my opinion. Compared to that, I mean, what are we doing here?
I'm with you on that one. Neil, what do you think?
High on him, Carter. He's wearing number 11, but the rule has just been grossly mismanaged and evaluated since it's. I like the spirit of it, of protecting the players, but it just is so inconsistently administrated that it's very frustrating.
After the game, James Franklin said to the media, imagine if you were kind of like going to hit the ground like that. I'm thinking, what are you talking about? If any of us went down like that, we would never get back up. But I just think it's such a gray area that you would wish that the officials would implement common sense. At what point does common sense become the determining factor? Because that seems like more often than not when we look at these things and argue about them, it's like, come on, man, what was the real intent here?
And not just the common sense, but the kid is ejected from this game early in the second quarter, and he has to sit, the first half of the next week. So it's a pretty bad penalty.
Welcome to college football is his first play ever. So, sorry, kid. I'm with you guys on that.
He'll remember it.
No kidding.
But I don't think it's gonna change how he's gonna play the game.
Yeah.
Doesn't he get
that's how he's gonna play reckless, and he should be suspended for the full game. So he's all right. He's okay.
He's okay for next.
If it was the second half,
he'd be back. I apologize.
Way
You're
to
about
go,
ready to
Neil.
get speared.
Strike out
You're about ready to get speared.
Talk
Riddell.
about gray areas.
Jeez.
You're great, Jack.
Hey,
You're gray
hey.
matter. I don't know what's going on there.
My Neil Rudell here. I grew it in for you guys.
So Goon, switching gears entirely.
Yeah.
Tell us what you've been up to since your playing days.
Since my playing days, I've been eating and drinking a lot, obviously, as you can tell. So, no, we're talking about. I have a new television show coming out. It's actually called the Blue White Players Show. It's live at Champs on Monday nights, Champs Downtown in State College, from 6 to 7. It's on onwardstate.com, statecollege.com, all their social media sites, and then we'll be scrunched up into a television show available throughout the states and in the whole Mid-Atlantic and New England area. It's involving players. So I could actually, because we could bring players on and actually pay them to be there. It's sort of my little kickback of saying, hey, you know what, I didn't get any money back in my day, but some are going to say you're a crotchety old man and this and that.
Yes.
But I'm not. I'm not upset about these guys getting money because I think that they should get money. And I have my co-host is going to be Aeneas Hawkins, who just got done playing football here. So it's old school, same school, old school, new school, same school is our slogan. So it's just going to go in. I want to get to know our players. I started marking our way down here. Coach speak, I can't stand coach speak. I don't know how you guys do it. You go to James's press conference post game. You go to his press conference on Thursdays before a game. His radio show. It's the same stuff. And it's not just James, it's all coaches in general. So the fact we were allowed to have 2 players on every week is just to get to know these guys a little bit better on the outside, not in their uniforms, just in a regular environment and having a good time talking. And, my experiences versus their experiences type of thing, and how we're all very much the same, when it comes down to it.
Well, we're happy that we helped give you your start.
Absolutely.
Well,
And we have Aeneas Hawkins coming in later.
Yeah, and let me say something about Aeneas Hawkins. Get on the Aeneas Hawkins TV bandwagon early,
Yeah, he's
because
good.
this guy is
His
going
TikTok's
to
good.
take off. Yeah,
His
he is
TikTok
going to
is
be
good.
big in the
very good.
business. Very personal guy, very smart, knows football. He's tremendous. So we're happy to have him on the Nitwits later this
Hey,
season.
real quick, there's one play in this game that I think deserves mention. Is late in the first half, Wheatley comes up and forces a fumble, and Porter recovers that. I mean, that was a big play in the game.
It was.
That was another good one. But we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, the best part of the show, our picks for the upcoming Ohio game.
The Nitwits are being brought to you by Fullington Tours, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from locations in State College and Altoona. By Blair Candy Company, the one-stop shop for all your tailgating needs. Candy, snacks, paper supplies, and more. By Lions 24/7 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Monday.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Well, here's the upcoming schedule. Here are the next couple games. Of course, Ohio this week, then Auburn, Central Michigan, and the whole on Wrap Down. So now best part of the show, Mark here.
Oh, really?
Sorry, I'm confusing
I didn't
you
realize.
two.
Oh my
Definitely
God! You should have
proud.
seen
You
him.
won last week. So who you got this week for the upcoming Ohio game?
Yeah, one of the cool things is I was able to watch Ohio and Florida Atlantic, and some good players on Ohio. The quarterback is a good player, not a great player. But I just wonder about the level of athleticism. And I look at that Penn State team that left a lot of points out that could have scored even more points against Purdue. And I think it's going to really open up offensively. I'm going big. Penn State 55,
Whoa.
Ohio 14.
I agree with you that they left some points out there, so I'm going to go with 38-17 Penn State. Let's wrap up quick.
You're making me
Good or
think
Neil, who's
fast.
next?
I'm going to say 40-12.
Good, what about you?
58-10.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for watching. You can definitely catch this on our podcast. Also, make sure to download our app. That QR code will take you to our website. Goon, thank you so much for joining us. Have a
Anytime.
great night, everyone.
The NitWits have been brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntingdon. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By RE/MAX Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. By Star Beverage, no matter what type of weather, we're a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Kogan Electric, lighting the way for you. By NovaCare, Altoona and State College, we proudly support Penn State football. By Fullington Tours, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from locations in State College and Altoona. By Blair Candy Company, the one-stop shop for all your tailgating needs. Candy, snacks, paper supplies, and more. By Lions 24/7 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Monday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.